Hello, my gamma friends. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. This is the Gala analysis. It's basically I'm gonna review everything Hulk, all the movies, TV shows, and I also do random other geeky films. So hope you enjoy Smash Trivia presents the Gamma analysis. You can also check out my other show, Creepy and Kooky, a Wednesday Adams podcast. That's where I discuss the Wednesday TV show and all things Adams Family with my co-host Lilith the Librarian. I want to ask everyone listening to please do something for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. Now let's smash right into this episode. Today's episode is a review of Guillermo Del Toro's Frankenstein that just came out last week with Jose Guzman and Jr. I hope I'm not mispronouncing in your last name.
Perfect. Oh yeah, perfect. You got it.
Jose is a lifelong long lover of film, currently residing in Detroit, Michigan, and he grew up in Long Island, New York, in the 1980s, the heyday of Eddie Murphy, John Hughes, and Freddy Krueger. When he wasn't at the movies or blockbuster, he was leaning to learning to who truly appreciates cinema via Siskel and Ebert.
Siskel and Ebert. Siskel and Ebert.
Cisco and Ebert. He currently co-hosts a podcast called Cinematic Connection. He and his co-host JP talk about the films they were raised on and the early connections they made with the people in their lives. They also tackle the movies today that remind them of their early faves and the people they connect with today. All right. So, how you doing, Jose?
I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and especially thanks for coming on a short notice. Since I had another episode that I was planning on recording this week for Tuesday, but things just went a little haywire, and so we weren't able to schedule it. But I'm very happy to be talking about the new Frankenstein movie. This movie was a lot of fun and which I should be surprised. It's Guillermo. Why am I'm blanking on how to pronounce his name.
Yelmo. Yelmo.
Guillermo del Toro. His films are always a lot of fun. But yeah, I've enjoyed his films ever since the Hellboy films.
Oh yeah. Of course, yeah.
Uh, so let's again talk about this film, which you can and chime in at any point. It's just supposed. My podcast is just like just treat it like a conversation with friends.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so but I had so much fun with this. I think it was a really good telling of the story, or which I've never actually watched any Frankenstein films or like read the book. I've just mainly seen him in other things and have read online about him, the character. And I think this does a really good job at like the particular things that I think were the most important to be clear about with this, which is that the creature or Adam, as I believe his name is supposed to be, is not actually a bad guy or a monster. Or while Victor Frankenstein is the real monster, I think that's the most important thing because I think that's something that has been a big misconception in over the decades that people believe uh, they believe two things: one that he is a villain, the creature here, and they also believe that his name is Frankenstein.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the big yeah. In fact, if you ever saw the TV show How I Met Your Mother, there was an episode where the Ted character specializes in correcting people, and they're watching a Frankenstein movie, and the girl is like, "Oh my God, it's Frankenstein." Actually, that's Frankenstein's monster, you know. So
Yeah, but like that's been such a misconception over years. I think a big part of that stems from like whenever the character appears in like kids movies, is they'll always just call him Frankenstein or something like that, like just because. they know that's a more flashy name than the creature or Adam.
Exactly. The creature, the monster, Adam, like yeah, like Franken, their name Frankenstein. It's very catching. It has some gravitas to it. So
Mhm.
it's very easy to just call him Frankenstein. Hey, he made him, so he probably named him after him. Who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah,
It's about like those are my main things that I thought was important for them to do. Like outside of that, as someone who hasn't read the book, and even if I had, I don't think I would care that much about the changes that he did make to the book. I think I think that when the book has been out for as long as it has, and we've had as many adaptations as we've had, it's fine for them to play around with it at this point. And to be honest, even I've kind of always been of the opinion of adaptations don't have to be exactly 1-to-1, because I think it's kind of boring if they're just 1-to-1. I think I because if that means if you read the thing, you just know exactly what's going to happen. And
absolutely.
I'd rather just either be able to go and decide and be like, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, because it is a bit different.
No, 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 that's totally the point. Like, this idea that when you read a book, you yourself are already making an adaptation because you
Mm-hmm.
are reading the book yourself and the story is getting conveyed to yourself. So in your head, you're kind of creating the
Mm-hmm.
story based on what you're reading, and that any ensuing adaptation or version of that, it's going to be that person's idea of what
Yeah.
is going to be. So it's very, you're very rarely going to have two people read the same book and have the same exact opinion, or for that matter, like, when a book comes out, oh, they should cast this person. No, they should cast this person. Like, it's all going to be really
Mm-hmm.
just arbitrary. Or the fact that, Guillermo Del Toro, when I was reading that, this was his dream project and it was something that he's wanted to do forever. And then he talks about this idea that there's almost a sense in which having it as a dream was almost better because he realizes that once it's done and it's out there, it's done, it's over. Like it's a
Yeah.
completed project, and like
Look.
you don't have that like what if,
Mm-hmm.
or you don't have that yen anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I maybe I'm wrong here, but I seem to remember hearing that this actually the him wanting to do this morphed from how he originally had at one point been wanting to do a Hulk film, which Frankenstein is one of the inspirations for Hulk. He was developing a Hulk TV show, actually like 15 years ago, which sadly fell through. And I think which after watching this film, I definitely think would love a Guillermo del Toro Hulk film.
Oh yeah, no. Well, again, like most of his work has always been around some type of a creature, be it
Mm-hmm.
Hellboy or in the Blade movies, in the Blade 2 movie, which he made, there were those special vampires that
Yeah.
that were created. And even that was funny, like even that, I forgot the character's name, but he was kind of a sympathetic character because he was just created, and
Mm-hmm.
like all he had, and like in Blade kills him in the end, it's almost like a relief, like, oh, thank you, you saved me, because all he did was kill. But all the different characters from Pan's Labyrinth, or even the fish character from Shape of Water. I mean, this is something that Del Toro
Oh yeah.
has always played with some
Oh,
variants of this in his
it
work.
is something I find so funny. Funny is there have been so many people who have gotten mad that there's superhero sort of elements in this, and like the opening film feels very much like like Hulk, and they're like, I'm like, do you guys not know that Guillermo del Toro is a massive comic fan? And like this is the guy who directed Blade 2, directed the Hellboy movies. He
Pacific Rim, yeah, like
yeah, he turned a vampire TV show of his into a comic. And he's also behind the Tales of Arcadia superhero universe on Netflix.
well, I think what that is, that's people coming in thinking, oh, we're going to get a traditional Frankenstein story, not realizing that no, you're going to get the Guillermo del Toro version. So
Yeah.
again, they're coming in, they're thinking of the Hammer movies from the 30s. They're thinking of
Mhm.
the Kenneth Branagh movie from the 90s, or
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. There's always been these different reiterations of
Oh
Frankenstein
yeah.
over again, or again, like Abbott and Costello and
Yeah. Like.
Frankenstein, or the Monster Squad, which had a Frankenstein character in it. So I think that speaks
Mhm.
more to like the people who are like, well, I want what I'm used to getting. It's like, no, if you're going to see a Del Toro
Mhm.
movie, you're going to
Oh
see
yeah.
what he does.
I think the only thing like really like out of like that 30s film that I think it would have been really cool if he'd um done on, though I understand why he didn't, because he wanted this to be more realistic. Um is I always liked how particularly for or the art for that film. It wasn't actually in the film because it was a black and white film, but for the art for that film, Frankenstein was always portrayed as having green skin.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's ever actually been a Frankenstein film that did portray him like that, having green skin, and I think that would be really cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, that I could not speak to. Again, like I didn't
Oh
read the
yeah,
original book,
I
so
know.
I don't know what his skin is described as. But again, we get that based off of,
Oh
the
yeah, I
cultural
know.
representation of him through the years. So,
I know. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just I just always found it fascinating, like characters that for the artwork for things are always portrayed with green skin, but then never in the movies are they. Like another example is zombies. Zombies are always portrayed with green skin and
Yep.
artwork, but I've never seen a single little zombie movie where they portrayed them like that.
Nope, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And
Yeah.
I just and just because of that, I'm not I like now like I want to see these things and just get made and just like that. I think that would be
Yeah.
really fun to watch. Yeah, I know it would have to be for like a really goofy adaptation, but I'm here for a goofy adaptation of these things. Like I'm very much someone who I like goofy films so much more than serious films, and I was a little worried going into this film that it was going to be too serious for my taste, but I was very glad that there is some humor in this. It's like, well, one thing I found myself laughing a lot at was the is how Elizabeth if just immediately knew who it was Victor or at the confession booth.
Yeah.
Like yeah, which I should have expected that acted the humor, since it is a Guillermo del Toro film, and like the Hellboy films are very humorous.
Well,
But
yeah. Or I guess I think it probably just speaks to the fact that like traditionally Elizabeth has always been kind of a one-note character, and Del Toro actually makes her smart and actually makes her someone of like an intellect. So
yeah,
it's more interesting. And again, that's more
oh yeah,
interesting than her
absolutely.
like falling for that ruse and like,
Oh yeah, absolutely. No one. So this film, I think one thing this film does really well is shows us how Victor became the monster that he is, but as well they didn't do it to this point where you think he's actually a sympathetic hero. Like they showed this all this awful stuff that happened to him with his childhood, but then they showed Ode as an adult, him not having grown from that and being awful, so that by the end of the film, we're not just like, oh, we should feel bad for Victor and all that stuff.
yeah.
I think that's very important because I think there's sadly a lot of films where they're about bad people, but they're like, we're gonna humanize him and make you feel bad for him. Like I don't want to feel bad for these bad people.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, because well, and like in this film, which I don't remember, I've never seen this part of the story in any other film, but we get him as a child, and his father was a big SOB.
Yeah.
And the way I read it was, his father victimized him, and in my mind, he's kind of destined to kind of become his father. Like I feel like he was just like because of the way like this, like
Yeah.
and it's funny,
It's
his father
very
was
much a
yeah.
story of not breaking the cycle of abuse.
Yes, exactly.
It
Exactly.
was, and like that is, and I'm someone who came from an abusive home, and and so I definitely can like relate to the aspect of the story, and like I'm someone who, as an adult, I worry about if I were to ever have kids, what how that would turn out. But the I was messaging you earlier about something I wanted to particularly mention related to this. So so in these flashbacks, his dad particularly strikes him on the face because the face is vanity. But he also says
Your
like
hands are your gifts.
he also is like saying how you bear my name, so you are a reflection of me, which I think I'm kind of critical of that part because I think I so with my father he knew how to be abusive but make it never show to the outside world, and that's where I'm like I don't think that Frankenstein's father would hit him on the face because he knows that's gonna show, and that's gonna and I think that's something that a lot of films don't understand about people with abusive childhoods. A lot of these parents who are abusive, they know how to make sure that the outside world never knows what's going on. And I think particularly someone like Victor's father absolutely would know how to do that since he's in the medical field. He would know how to be to hit his child in ways where no one would ever know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, that's an excellent point, but obviously, I don't think that's the angle Del
I,
Toro wants to go with. But
I'm
yeah.
just saying. I'm just saying that like that's like it's a very small criticism,
Mhm.
but I'm just like I think if it would feel more accurate if it accurate to how a lot of abusive childhoods
Yeah.
are if he like particularly hit him like on the shoulder or something, so it's like science always covered or like in the stomach or something, so you
Yeah.
just so you people are not gonna ever know. I think it makes sense both with him being in the medical field, you would understand the places where it's least likely to show, and then also because he cares so much about reputation and like
Yeah.
and the look of things. I don't think this is someone who would want the outside world to know that he does this to his child.
Yeah. At the same time, like
Uh,
I feel like
uh,
I feel like he's such a bastard, he probably doesn't even care.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just think.
Or it also felt like where he grew up was very sheltered. So I got the feeling like
Yeah.
they didn't even like
Hmm.
interact with a lot of people anyway, because it was always like
Yeah.
his father would go away on business and then he'd
I,
come back, and yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Since I was in a very sheltered household as well. So, yeah. I just like I saw all bits of my father within this his father character. I was like, I not that, but that's the one thing where I'm like, I just don't know if that would actually be how it would end up. Like, but yeah, like it's not like it's a criticism, but it's like not a
Oh
major
yeah.
criticism at
Oh yeah,
all.
no, no, I
It's
get it.
just like I thought I'd bring up the let's see, saying I really like about that with this film is just how everything looks. 'Cause I think is so
Well, it
cool.
is a Del Toro film,
Yeah,
so you
like
know
not like
he's never gonna skip on the
obviously
visuals.
like the like lighting, but then and like the way he does like these the pieces of flesh and as in the body, it looks so good. But it also he does it in a way, I also particularly want to point out with the animal gore, he did it in a way where it doesn't bother me nearly as much as like other films would because I'm someone who a lot of times, particularly with animal gore, I gotta look away because I'm like just so grossed out. I was able to handle this very well, and I think and so I really appreciate that from him.
Well, thankfully, like well, again, like there at least in my mind, there was kind of this disconnect, like, or it's just not disconnect, but this idea that we never really like none of the animals were like personified or
Yeah,
humanized. You know, it's not
that
like
makes sense.
it's not like we saw the kid playing with the sheep before it got slaughtered. So there
Hmm.
was a sense in which we could there was a little bit of a detachment there, which was probably a good idea
Yeah, I
because there was
think.
that slaughter scene with the sheep. It's just like, oh boy, you
Yeah, and
know.
then and then the wolves,
And then the wolves, yeah.
but that particular, I was like, I'm really glad that he did it in a way where I was able to actually handle watching this because like that, because there have been so many films that I've had trouble watching because of things being done to animals, and then I'm just
Oh,
like,
definitely. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Like again, like you know, John Wick, the Babadook, yeah,
Mhm.
anytime that like there's a pet
Have
that's
you
involved, it's
seen
just
have you seen the film Ginger Snaps?
yes, I have seen Ginger
That
Snaps.
like all of
Yes.
the animals in that, I'm just like
Yeah.
so grossed out by
Yeah.
I and I am I'm really glad I didn't get that kind of feel with this. But I think it was done really well. I like how half the film is about Victor's story and then half the film is about the creature's story. The you know I think my favorite parts of the film are very much in the creature story with like a very small moment, but like when he's feeding the deer ear some berries. I just love those soft little moments.
Yeah.
And then like with him and the old man. And like I really enjoyed that as well. What are your some of your favorite parts of the film?
Well, actually, I was going to piggyback off what you're saying. Like for a film that had these amazing visuals and like this grand epicness, like it's those quiet moments.
Yeah.
Those are the like that's where it really kind of draws you in. And like the number one thing is Jacob Elordi. I thought this
Oh
kid was
yeah.
amazing. Like I mean, I've never watched
Fantastic.
Euphoria, but I did like him in Saltburn, and like having cast him as this character. And again, like in real life, he's this gorgeous looking guy, and he's like 6'4" or whatever, and it's funny how like they turned him into this creature, but it was so much more than just throwing a bunch of makeup on him. Like he really
Oh yeah.
embodied this character. Like it really felt like an actual performance, or again, like this idea of if again, like he was multiple parts from different bodies.
Yeah.
So like it's like a jigsaw man, you know. So it was so much more because I guess like because
Mm,
traditionally it's like, oh, they just find the one creature and they get someone's brain and put it inside, but it really felt like
mm,
you could get the sense of like I'm trying to figure out what it is I am. And it was, and
yeah.
again, this idea that they
Mm,
and again, it was, they did
mm.
more than just ugly up a good looking guy. Like he just, the performance was right there all the
Oh yeah.
way. And the fact that how much we got to see him grow. Because
Hmm. Oh
I get the
yeah,
feeling
definitely.
in the traditional like Frankenstein movies, he's usually monosyllabic and maybe he does get certain senses, but like to see this character go from like being born to then being a fully conscious creature who's like, Victor,
Yeah.
this is what I need. Like, and you get that, oh my God, like, again, was
Uh,
that his real voice or was that CGI? Because
I
that
don't
was a
know.
cool voice. Like, when he was talking, I was
Mm.
like, wow, that is cool.
Yeah. So um so things that I wish we got in the film with this character. One one, I think it would have been really fun on like if we sometime earlier in the film had a cameo from a character being played by Jacob Elordi. He'd be like, "This is where the head came from,"
Yeah.
something like that. And also though a sign I think would have been a really good change. I to do when he gets out of the tower hour and he falls into the water. I would not have had him just wash up on sea on land. I would have had that he has to teach himself how to swim back up.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
think that would have been a cool sequence.
Yeah.
He's like we find that he's been sitting there like at the bottom of the ocean for like a few
Yeah.
days, and then he just starts trying and trying until he gets up to the surface.
Yeah. Exactly. No, yeah, that could have been a heck of a lot more interesting.
I think
Well,
that
again,
would have been interesting.
well, again, it's like we're watching like baby to crawl to walk to man. That yeah, that should have been part of the process.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool to see. But there's so many, I think, just really great things. And it's, I love as well Oscar Isaac's performance as Victor, and Mia Goth's performance as Elizabeth. Oh,
Christoph Waltz. I
oh
did not
yeah,
know. I
Christoph
had no
Waltz
idea
was
he was
so
in this
good.
movie. I was like, oh my God, that's Christoph Waltz. And it's funny because like for that little bit, he kind of plays the nice surrogate father to Victor because his
Mhm.
whole thing is like, yeah, actually, I like your work and I want to support you. And then of course we get into the real thing where like he's
Yeah,
actually dying and he's like he
I
has his
really
ulterior
think like
but even his ulterior motives, I mean, that's not that like it's not that evil
yeah,
compared to like
no,
most ulterior motives.
no.
Because I
I
thought he
think
was
if he
I thought he wanted to like steal his work and like take credit for it or something
Oh
or
yeah,
you know.
I think that if I think if he had gone to Victor earlier, before his disease had progressed so much to where it was like in his brain,
Yeah.
Victor might have been willing to help him.
Yep.
But like asking Victor, the literally the night that they have to turn the machine on is kind of like kind of is way too late.
Yeah, a little bit past the point of no return, but at the same time, like you sometimes, you know, like hey, you can't always time these things out perfectly. I mean,
But
for
yeah,
well, it's like you talked to, well, for that matter, maybe Victor's science didn't get
or
advanced enough until the guy was already past the point of no
hmm.
return. Like, just
Or
sometimes these
maybe
things don't
at the
line up.
very least tell him that you want him to do this before he has finished surgically putting all these parts together there,
Yeah,
so that since he'd already put a brain into the guy
yeah,
and sewed up his head and like yeah like oh I really did like Christoph Waltz's performance and it's and you know I just a few weeks ago the new season of Only Murders in the Building ain't finished, and I loved Christoph Waltz in that and it's really fun on seeing this very different but also kind of similar performance with Arns with in this because he's also playing this rich guy in that's not great. I have great motives and stuff
yeah,
like that. Uh, um, but it's just fun on seeing like the difference like since this is a very serious character versus all the characters and Only Murders in the Building are very
yeah.
comedic and so that was fun the I think the one character that we didn't get a lot of that could have maybe had more of a performance if he was given more to work with is Victor's brother.
Definitely, yeah.
Or he seemed in very much almost kind of a background character.
Yeah. Well, again, he's in the book, and there's that sense of like, well,
Mhm.
he has to exist so that the Elizabeth character
Yeah,
exists. And I think all,
absolutely.
but also this thing of like,
I,
I feel like if the brother had been around more, well, just think about it
mhm.
from the very beginning, when the both parents die, you know, Victor goes off to, I forgot, Vienna, the brother went off to London, and it's this idea of like, well, if they'd grown up together, they could have had a completely different,
Oh yeah.
backstory. And I get the feeling that if you had the brother around more, that might have
Mhm.
like maybe again, maybe Victor wouldn't have been such the
I
bastard
think
that he was. I don't know.
I think particularly to me, what I would have wanted for more from him is to get it actually revealed to him that and how Victor has been treating his fiance and so he could have like an emotional scene dealing with that and like then we can get at some of that his anger and his scaredness towards Victor in his last scene and as he dies.
Yeah, and I totally get that. It's just I feel like the more the brother is around, like I feel that would have thrown off things because
Yeah, I can understand that.
he's bringing an entire different energy, or the fact that I mean, like the biggest focus that you mentioned was the fact that Victor is the monster, and it's
Yes.
that idea that like we like you kind of have to have him away from people because the more he's around people, the more humanized he is. I mean, when he's around Elizabeth, he has this whole
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, and like he has this affection for her. Or I don't know. There's that initial meeting when he sees his brother where oh I haven't seen you in years and look at you like there seemed to be a
Mm-hmm.
genuine affection there, but it's this idea of if the brother was around more. it takes away from that monstrosity that is sort of
That makes
engulfing
sense.
Victor, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, so I've talked about with some friends, and some I'm wondering how you feel about would you want Guillermo del Toro to make a sequel to this, doing Bride of Frankenstein, where the creature like actually does create a companion for himself?
Well, why not? And especially if he gets a chance to work with Jacob Elordi again, hell's yeah. 'Cause-
I
or
would I think that would be so much fun on to see him do, and like I would really I want them to play with the fact that that since he can't die, I would have them say at another time, like have it
yeah,
have like maybe like you know like I bring more even more of the Hulk connection into it. It's said like in the 1960s during the Cold War, or which is where Hulk's original comics came from.
yeah,
I think that could be really fun, and seeing like how how the U.S. government would probably try and get him to use as a weapon, and like um and seeing like as time has progressed, as I think it would be cool seeing like that he keeps trying to find maybe keeps trying to find ways to get to kill himself, like I to finally be at peace, Ice, and using all the new weapons that have been developed by that point, and like maybe even like setting himself into like a radiated area or something like Hawk, and hoping hopes that that'll kill him,
yeah.
and like I think that stuff like that could be fun, and like I've heard people be say that like they want on to have like Mia Goth's Elizabeth be turned into the bride, but I think there is a problem with that, in that that according to this film, they have to bodies have to be like very freshly dead for
Yes.
them to use them,
Yeah.
and though we don't know the exact amount of time it is between in the scene that she dies and the film, I'm pretty sure it's a good length of time, since Victor has a whole bunch of facial hair by that point.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
imagine her body is not usable anymore.
well, it's funny because I mean, one of the things we haven't mentioned is that Mia Goth has two roles because she plays Victor Frankenstein's mother in the beginning, and then later on she shows up as Elizabeth, and that's I mean, it's never really like said in like it's never really like thrown at us, but it's that idea of oh, it reminds him of his mother. So I mean, honestly, if they do another one, they could just cast her as a completely different character because hey,
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe all the women in this world look like Mia Goth. Who knows, you know?
That'd be funny.
But and then it's funny because you talked about this idea of having him like because of the nature of the of this creature they've created that they could go into different times, different eras. They can like
Mhm.
time is not a factor. It's and then earlier you mentioned this idea of this creature as the Hulk. I'll be honest, at the very beginning, I thought he was a new version of like Wolverine. So it's like
I
because
could
again,
see.
the fact that he could like he gets wounded and it gets healed, and at some point I was expecting like General Stryker to show up and be like, "Hey, we need to weaponize this person or something," you know.
uh,
So
so it's the I think actually a really fun. I like I and as someone who's like a big Hulk and She Hulk fan, I like if they weren't or aren't gonna bring back Mia Goth off to be the bride, I would want Guillermo del Toro to have Tatiana Slade
yeah,
play the
there
bride,
you go.
which I think it's absolutely a possible thing, since they've worked together before, or she was one of the main voices in the Tales of Arcadia
Yeah,
universe that he has on Netflix. So I think like that could be really fun. I know that that he likes meta doing meta sort of things, and so I
yeah.
think that'd be really cool.
Well, definitely feel well
Yeah.
again, he's been doing this for like 20, 30 years. He's got this amazing sort of like I don't want to say repertory, but there are people that he will work with, you know, more than once.
Hmm.
And more importantly, like because this film has been so successful on Netflix, you just know they're gonna want him to like, hey,
Oh
come on,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
they'll give
You
him
know,
carte blanche, like, hey, here's some more money, give us some more, you know.
I think would be really fun to see is like have like him do a trilogy, like one of them. So the second one being in the 60s, and then like third one like have it be a Frankenstein present day. And I think would could be really cool. I don't know exactly what the rights situation would be for this, but I think it'd be so much fun to see a Frankenstein crossover with Hellboy.
There you go.
Like
Hey,
that, eh, the third film could be both Frankenstein 3 and his Hellboy 3
there you go.
that people
Or
been wanting for many years.
or maybe the two of them can team up and take out some kaiju in Pacific Rim 3.
Uh,
Hey, you know,
yeah,
just keep building, keep
I mean,
building,
yeah,
you know. Sky's
but
the limit.
that and or like also like maybe he could do some of the other or Universal monsters as well. Putting them into the universe, I think that could be fun. Like
Yeah.
I though some of those might be a little harder because they are owned by Universal,
Yeah.
or versus Frankenstein's easier because he's literally based on a story that is now public domain.
Exactly. Well, it helps a lot. Well, again, back in the was it late 2010s, Universal tried to do that. They had the Mummy with Tom
Yep.
Cruise, and then
Oh
that was
yeah.
supposed to lead to all these different monster movies that didn't peat out because that
Yeah.
first film bombed. But yeah,
Yeah, like
Guillermo Del Toro, if he was
I
interested,
think
yeah,
I think
and the audience would be
it's
there.
better with so I think they with Universal they put just too many cards in all at once of wanting to do this versus it's better just starting off with just this one character and like I really making us feel for this one character. Or I think that Universal just kind of messed up like that because of that. I and also just like people love of Guillermo Del Toro, so that helps it a lot. But because they tried multiple times IAMS during the 2010s to start up that at it failed both times. I first with Dracula Untold, and then with the Mummy with Tom Cruise. It
Yeah,
was yeah. I think that could be really fun and see. Yeah. Trying to think. What else do I want to talk about with this film? Let's see. I think it was a really good idea, like the having them each be like telling their story on this ship, and I thought that was a really cool touch, and
yeah.
um
Or the fact that they don't really contradict each other because like
yeah
sometimes you'll get like this he said she said situation, and no, like they're basically telling the same story, but like you said, it's this like it's the same, like they're both telling the truth, and at no point is the captain expected to like decide who should I
oh yeah
believe. It's like, no,
yeah.
they're just telling me what happened, you know.
And I think the reason for that and why that is such a good idea not having that is very much to the creature or his life started after he left Victor,
Yeah.
and so his story or he's not about Victor and and yeah one thing and this is like something that's apparently like directly out of the book but it's like such a funny thing. Is like the is how when he gets when Victor gets mad at the creature for wanting a companion, it's like it's a all that seeds it is like directly out of the book, which is really cool. But it's all also like so funny because as some people have mentioned on social media, if he didn't want the creature to ever procreate, why did he spend the time to make the creature a dick?
Exactly.
Like, I feel like you didn't need that aspect if you were not planning on him being able to ever or have children.
Should have just made him a Ken doll, seriously, come on.
Oh, man. Yeah. I think. Is there anything else that you would really like to talk about with the film?
Well, I think he covered most of it. Again, it's Del Toro, so it's obviously these amazing, colorful, just production design, costume design. I don't think we
Oh
talked
yeah.
about that. I mean, like you're going to see movies like this again, these movies come out and like they actually these costumes. Well, it's funny how they seem to be of the time, and yet they still have something that's just like that makes it almost look a little bit modern day, but in a way that's interesting.
Yeah.
So there's that. We talked about all the different performances. We talked
Mhm.
about the fact that it the way it plays with time because it starts in the present day, then we go back to Victor's
Yeah.
beginnings, and then we get Victor's side, then we get the monster side. So it does
Mhm.
something interesting with the narrative because again,
Oh yeah,
this is
absolutely.
again, well, again, I'm sure a lot of people coming in like, hey, I'm used to my Frankenstein being this way, and I don't know how to do this voice, but I'm used to my Frankenstein being this way. We start here, we go here, we end here, you know. And the funny
Mhm.
thing is, this ends where all traditional Frankenstein films end, but it's just Del Toro's going to go there
Mhm.
in a different way because
Yeah.
again, he wants to A, do it his way, but also B, do it in a way that is not the
Yeah.
traditional Hammer or anything we've seen over the last 30 or 40 or 50 years. So
Oh,
that is definitely something to commend.
Oh yeah. One another thing that I really like is when he's like actually introducing the idea of this to the medical council and
Yeah.
all their reaction. I think that was such a fun scene, and
Yeah.
you know and they bring up and as well his brother brings up later in the film like this idea of it being unholy, and then asking about where out if he knows about this creature's soul and stuff like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just like I find that so funny because like you shouldn't be expecting someone who is a medical person or someone who's into science and the human body to be paying attention to the spiritual qualities of it, and you should like I think someone like him, they should just expect that that's not going to be what's on his mind. I'm like, no, I don't have any problem with people with people being religious
Yeah.
or anything like that. But I think you shouldn't expect someone who's crafted their worldview based on science and medical and how like the human body works and all that stuff to be focused on this thing that you don't even know is actually real. There's a difference. They have to understand that there's a difference between a belief and facts, and this is very much someone who bases his ideas on facts, and you should just kind of expect these. That's what he's gonna do.
Yeah. Or the fact that again, like you talk about that scene, he's in the university and he's again
Yeah.
he reveals that he's taken part of like this skeletal part of this person and he's able to reanimate, like some of his actions. And
Mhm.
it's funny because as I'm watching that, I'm like, okay, that is cool. But more importantly, like the general tenor is, oh, that's just like that's unholy. And I'm just thinking, where are the people who are fascinated? Like, oh my God, like think
Yeah,
of
they
the
should be like.
forget about immortality. Like,
Mhm.
because like the biggest thing with medicine is like people who've like had severed limbs or severed nerves, and it's like I'm pretty sure Victor Frankenstein just figured out how to help people who have had issues with
Exactly.
nerve. Like there's so many. And again, maybe that's just because I'm just thinking into
Yeah,
it too much,
absolutely. No,
or
you're
maybe it's that
right.
idea that like no, we need the entire room to be absolutely aghast with what they've.
Yeah, and,
Whereas
like,
like I'm surprised there wasn't more awe. Like
oh yeah, absolutely. I think that is I think that's absolutely a valid point, and I think like it, like they were trying to say like, oh, things are set the way they are because God gives us life, God takes away with that. Okay, but you are supposed to be a tribune, so you know that other medical things have been discovered over the centuries, and he's like that shouldn't clash with your idea of God just finding out a new medical thing.
yeah.
That should be you should like that should be like just expected that you're going to find out more things. Like, there was a time when we didn't know how to cure or the common cold and and now we do, and we don't but I can't imagine anybody thinking that just because we know now that how to cure that, oh, it's unholy curing that.
Well, again, like this is back in these are the days when the only cure they had for anything were leeches. So like,
Mhm.
come on. Or
Well,
or I mean maybe it would have been
and
different.
and with like with Christoph Waltz's character, Mercury,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a sign that now we know is like very poisonous.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
But
I just find that that's so funny that how they're so intent on their religious beliefs. It's like, okay, but how are you guys the medical council
exactly.
on this?
Yeah, come on. There's a disconnect there. Come on.
Oh, and I think and I'm someone who used to be a very religious person. And even when I wasn't someone who was like so against medical things. Like it's like, wouldn't you think that God would want us to advance our medical knowledge and be able to make people live longer and save people? That seems like something that someone who's a good God would want us to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's just it. You would hope so. Or again, it's the idea of like, faith is a good thing to have, but it's in it, but it's not a tangible. Again, it's not something
Yeah,
that again you go to that
dude,
surgery room and you want the best
even like
doctor with the best science.
even within the dogma of the church, that's not actually what they're supposed to believe. Like there are literally stories or I'm pretty sure like parables from the Bible where they say how people are like think that God will just magically save them, and when in reality, it's going to be situations where you don't know whether it's God saving you or not. It's gonna be like one particular one I saw was like there's this flood and someone goes up to the top of their house looking for someone to save them and the and multiple boats came passing by offering them a ride to save them, and they just didn't take it, saying that God is going to come save them. When in reality, those boats within the story are God saving them,
Yeah,
which is like things like that make it so obvious to me that even within their dogma, God wants us to find these ways to save people ourselves.
absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, that's just, yeah, because like if I remember at the end of the story, he dies, he goes to heaven, and God says, "What are you doing here? I sent you a bunch of boats." Like,
Exactly.
so.
Like
But
he wants us to advance and help each other,
yeah.
and like the whole idea is that he works through people.
Yeah. But
Like
yeah, or again, like there might be something to be said for the fact that you have these religious people in that area who are against Victor's work,
mm,
and yet when you think about it, hey, Victor kind of is playing God. I mean,
yeah,
he's playing God.
well,
He's so it's that
I think
idea of
yes, but also like I think that any medical like advancement could have been considered at one point playing God.
okay, yeah, that's a valid
And
point.
I think that's and so to me it's just like this feels like yes, this is a big one, but it could be you just like any like any he with that like how like he makes the point of you have to be so these body parts have to be freshly dead, and we do actually now in present day a we do have sign where if some moments after death someone can be ejected in a sign and they be brought back,
Yeah,
like and we don't think of that as playing God. We know that that's just a medical advancement that we've made.
no, absolutely, yeah. Well, again,
I think
this movie obviously is much more than just a creature movie, right?
oh
It's
yeah,
making us
I
it's
just
making us think of like these all big
and I
philosophical
kind of like
ideas and
yeah, and, sign that I think is very important to be point out because like I've had people say like they think think when I mention things like this I'm criticizing the film. No, I'm just saying that these people are just insane and they're in the film. I'm not saying that the film's bad
oh
because
no,
of
no, no,
this.
yeah, yeah.
It's like I've had multiple times where people be like oh but if what you're saying were true, like the or were to happen, we would have no movie. I'm like, okay, but I'm not actually like trying to criticize the film. I'm trying to criticize the characters in the film as if I were someone in the universe as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's a very important qualification. Absolutely.
I think that I don't think there's really much else to talk about with this film. Uh, um, I feel like we talked about a lot, though. Like we may not have talked about things like super deeply, but I don't really think I'm qualified to talk about the really deep things about this film.
Nah. Well,
Oh
again, we covered the things that were
yeah,
important. Like if you go to this film, you're going to see some amazing visuals. You're going to see some good performances, like those, like sort
Mhm.
of the broad strokes, you know. And
Oh
most
yeah,
importantly, like
absolutely.
it's important to let people discover the other stuff, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So so
I think last time I want to bring up, I know that I know there have been films in the past where Del Toro, has got Guillermo Del Toro has like gotten like Oscar nominations and Oscar wins. Do
yeah.
you think this might, or do you think that this is too much of a horror film where where the Oscars will be like prudes about it being like, oh, we're not gonna give this recognition.
Well, first, I think because of the production design, though, like this is the
Oh
kind
yeah.
of film that is always going to get, it's going to probably get, you know, like sound design, sound editing, but more importantly, like the production design,
Hmm.
costuming, like it's again, cinematography. It's probably going to get a lot of those because it's
Yeah,
definitely worthy.
absolutely.
But I think also because now I don't see him getting a director nod necessarily, but because there are 10 Best Picture nominations, I can very easily see this getting one because in the last 5 or 6 years, you know, the horror stigma is starting to go away. Films
Yeah,
like Get
happily.
Out and The Substance, and
Hmm.
like a lot of these films are getting these nominations that would not
Yeah,
have gotten them 15 or 20 years ago.
absolutely.
So while I
I
don't
think
see it,
there's
I don't see it as a front runner per se. I can very easily
yeah, I
seeing you
think
get a
I
bunch.
think there's a possibility. I think there's both a stigma with the idea of that it's a horror film, and I
Yeah,
think there's also a bit of a stigma with it being just this monster IP
yeah,
as well. And they might be against letting it because of that as well. Like I think there have been and as someone who's a big superhero fan, I think there have been superhero films that are absolutely of the quality that deserve to be able to get Oscar nominations for like best as picture, but because they are just that kind of film,
hmm
they'll never put them up there or outside of like very few situations. Like I think they put Black Panther up there happily,
yeah.
but that one, I feel like that was even though it absolutely deserved to be there, I think that was more or they put it there out of they don't want to be accused of being racist.
Yeah. Well,
Is which because it very much seems like the Oscars is very white people centric.
well, I also think that I think there will always kind of continue to be a stigma against anything that is graphic novel or comic book, but because this film has that literary angle
Yeah,
based on the Mary Shelley novel, that could definitely be a
that might
boost.
be.
Like, hey, it's an
Yeah,
adaptation
yeah.
of a Mary Shelley book, and it's because again, I mean, you could I could
I
definitely
think
see this getting like a best screenplay adaptation,
absolutely.
absolutely. So
I think like maybe that'll bring it up, but like I think there's just like a sign of like they think of like classic Universal monsters as these campy characters that
yeah,
are so even if they even though they are based on novels like Dracula is based on the Dracula
yeah.
novel. I don't know. I feel like that is sign that hurts it
Yeah.
sadly.
Yeah. But again, it's whatever. It's I forgot it's the number one film on Netflix right
Oh
now.
yeah, absolutely.
It's got an 86% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, this is a film that's being very well
Oh
received.
yeah,
So there's a
absolutely.
sense in which it could be like it rises above any types of
Which
like cliches or anything, you know.
I wonder if the reason though that he did put it in theaters for or like a week or two before before it actually came out on Netflix is to make it a more of like sign that the Oscars will be willing to recognize, because a lot they have happily in recent years started being more willing to recognize films from streaming services,
Yeah.
but most of the time they are very unwilling to recognize stuff from the streaming services.
Well, a couple of years ago, Martin Scorsese, there was Killers of the Flower Moon, which was an Apple TV movie, but they released it in the theaters
Mm-hmm.
for like 2 weeks just because it could qualify. Then it went straight to streaming and it was able to get a lot of nominations. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably part of the plan. Or if I remember correctly, a couple of years ago, there was another Netflix film. I can't remember the name of it. It had Bradley Cooper in it, and they released it in the theaters for a couple of weeks.
I think that
Then
was Maestro.
Maestro, yes, that's the one. So that was a film that they released it in the theaters for like 1 or 2 weeks because again, that's to qualify. Went straight to
Mm-hmm.
Netflix and it got like Best Picture. I mean, it didn't win anything, but it got Best Picture nomination, Best Actor, Best Director. So that's
Yeah,
probably the thinking behind this.
probably. Yeah, I think that I think as well. Just Netflix has been like starting to experiment more with being willing to put some stuff in theaters for a little bit. Like I know that a couple of years ago when Glass Onion came out, they put that in theaters for
Yes,
a little
yeah,
bit,
absolutely.
which that was that I was so happy about, because they put it out in theaters like a whole month before it came out on Netflix,
Yeah.
and I got and because of that I got to be able to go see it on my birthday, which was such a
Nice.
fun thing. I was
Very
like
nice.
getting to see a film early on my birthday was like so cool.
Yeah. Well, again, I I wish I mean I missed the 2 week window to see this on the screen, which again, if there's a preference, I'd rather see it on the big screen.
Oh yeah.
But again, hey, there's convenience to be able to watch it at home. But this is definitely a film that, and again, if award season does come out and it gets these awards, I hope there's like a re-release because I would want to see it on the big screen, you know.
Absolutely. I think like had this gone on like fully the theaters, I don't think this would have been 2.5 hours long. I think it would have been just like so that they can get more screenings of it
Oh
to
yeah, that's
play.
true. Yeah.
I think especially in actually in the time that we're in, where not a lot of people are always going to see films in theaters.
Yep.
There, a studio would probably be like, we want to get the most out of this, and we're also they probably would not have given him $200 million for
Yeah, it would have been different.
it.
But hey, we got the
Yeah.
best version, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I speaking of like the length of the film, I don't know where I saw this is because I can't find it now online, but I seem to remember seeing like at one point that like there was planned to be like a 3 hour and like 15-minute cut of this which would have been wild if it were that long.
Well, I'm sure that's where it started, and then
Mm.
they cut
Yeah,
it
I'm
down to
guessing
they cut it,
that's
yeah.
probably what
But
happened. But
I'm
like,
sure that wasn't the plan. But again, a lot of times when they make these movies, they shoot so much footage,
yeah.
and it's this idea of like it'll start out at like 3.5 hours, and then they'll start getting rid of the stuff they don't
Mm-hmm.
need, and again, you're getting
Like
like
that was like if like he had released that at least yeah, it's like a 3 hour and 15-minute film, that would have been quite the epic.
well, hopefully there's a DVD release that has that version because I'm sure there's people who want to
If
see like those
Oh
deleted
yeah,
scenes, you know.
absolutely. But yeah, I think that's really everything to talk about. So I'm gonna wind this down. Really quick before we end it off, just let everyone know where they can find you, both their podcasts and social media.
Absolutely, thank you. So, Cinematic Connections is available on Podbean and Apple, and you can find me on Twitter at FreakinReekin44, or you can find me on Instagram at Jose Can You See, and that's Jose Can the letter U C SEE 44.
All right. All right. Sounds good. So everyone check out Jose, both on social media and on his podcast. And thank you everyone for listening. If you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or 5-star rating on Spotify. Love to hear your thoughts on the films. Please let me know. If you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more game analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Cherry John, signing off.